Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to the channel. Hope you guys are having a great day. Today we are going to be making a Raptor video. First, we have to clean this Raptor much better.
Oh, helium, what a fun thing. Not perfect, but a lot better. Now, in the upload today, I am going to walk you through all of the differences between the old Raptor and the new Raptor. Now, I say old in air quotes because to me, I daily drive an 05. The 2014 Raptor, or the old version, still feels very, very new. But I do tell people, the difference in the gap in technology and everything else from, let's say, a 1995 to a 2005, that 10-year gap. Well, that's not really that big because that truck's still pretty basic. Trucks from 05, not really a whole lot of tech. The new stuff hadn't come in yet. Cameras weren't standard. Heated seats in a truck weren't really standard either yet. But the difference between a 2005 and then a 2015 or a 2014, 13, whatever, that's a pretty huge gap. But now we're kind of slowing down again. So the difference between this 14 and the 19 really isn't too big. And you're going to find that the 14 offers a lot of the features of the 19, just kind of in a different way. We're going to start at the very beginning with the basics and how you get into the vehicle. Let's start with the key for the 2014 Raptor. You can see pretty standard Ford. Not a whole lot going on here. It is in fact a regular key, so you have to get in there, find the ignition and turn it like the peasant that you are, not like that for the new guys and the new trucks. It's again very plain, no SVT badges, nothing to indicate that it is for a special vehicle. The new key, however, very different, a very stark departure from that. You can see right away on the back, Raptor it says in the cool Raptor text. I love that touch, always have for these. And on the front, the key just looks a lot more modern. It's a little bit heavier, feels more modern. And the obvious thing where you don't have to put a key in, you just get in and push the button, it will start right up for you. This truck also has automatic start and the tailgate button, which this truck does not have. Now, in case you are not familiar with new trucks and you don't know what the tailgate button is, you don't know what I mean, new trucks, many of them, and the Raptor included, has a button where you can press this, and it will open the tailgate for you, and the tailgate is soft open. Another great feature of the new Raptor is, of course, Ford's signature, ridiculous, overly complicated, but pretty helpful tailgate step where you pull the step out and you also have a little railing you pull out with it. Again, I think it's a little bit over the top and a little bit ridiculous, but I mean, if you can't get in your bed that easy, maybe you're older, you have a disability, whatever, it definitely makes things easier. I just can't imagine like pulling up to Home Depot and actually using that in front of people, but it's pretty neat. And unfortunately, with the old Raptor, we don't have anything quite like that. We don't have a button. We have to do the manual labor ourselves. We have to walk up and pull the handle. And it also doesn't have soft open either. Just a small detail to note between the two. Looking at the outside of the trucks, I do think it's interesting and neat how, even though they do appear very different, the new one is much more angular and angry. It has a lot more little features and details and cuts in the body lines. It's really no rounded parts at all. And the old one is quite roundish and doesn't look quite as aggressive. I think it's pretty obvious. You can tell both are a Raptor, and that's really due to the fact that the name and the truck has become so iconic in its short years on the market, which is just a really cool little fact about him. You can tell right away that's not an F-150, not a regular one. That is something totally different. Most notably, of course, is the wideness of the body. This is much wider than a regular truck, much wider than a regular F-150, and that's actually the reason for the little amber lights in the front. Now, Ford could have put these on the roof. These lights are DOT mandated because if your vehicle's over a certain width, if you have a truck that's so wide, you have to have amber lights on them. Most heavy-duty trucks, if you look, they have their lights on the roof. But Ford didn't want to do that because they didn't think it looked really cool, so they decided to put the amber lights in the grille. And since then, since the original Raptor, it's become a hallmark of the design of the truck, something you can look at right away to let you know it is a Raptor. And it's a feature that I think everybody loves. Headlights are one area where every year I feel like car makers have to try to make theirs crazier and crazier, and the new Raptor is no different. The new headlight is huge. I mean, the old one was pretty large, but the new one is huge. It's a big LED kind of border with LED blocks in the center. Very cool, and they work well. The lighting at night is great. But you can see the old one definitely is now showing its age a little bit, more of a traditional bulb, and it doesn't have a cool LED border. It's actually just kind of a fake plastic border around it. So I do prefer the look of the new lights and the functionality, but the old ones do a great job too. Speaking of lights, you might also notice on the outside of the truck there are a few little marker lights on the fenders and such, and that's again for the width of the truck. Kind of a neat little detail that you won't see on other vehicles, and I think it's pretty cool. Now, both of these trucks are actually used. The black one is a friend of mine, Merc717, if you want to check him out on Instagram. He also has a really cool Corvette. He has all kinds of LEDs wired into his front bumper, the lower portion of the front bumper, and you can run those to the aux toggle switches inside, the auxiliary toggle switches, which we'll talk about. The blue one, however, doesn't have any of those details, but it's really cool how they give you a platform you can add things to and keep your stock look. You know, you don't have to drill anything into the dashboard of the truck because it comes with those little switches and that switch panel for you right at the firewall inside of the engine bay. So cool little detail there. Now, one place where these trucks are completely identical is in their shoes, or I guess for these vehicles I should say their boots, and that is of course the tires. Both tires are a 315 by 70 17, so a 315 by 70 17, roughly about a 35-inch tall tire, which, believe it or not, is about the same height as the tires I have on my Duramax over there. Don't believe me? I'll prove it. Looking at the two separate from each other, you would never guess they are the same because the Duramax wheel and tire looks so wide, and it is a lot wider, but really you can see it's in fact just about the same height. The Raptor even has some weight on it, and it's still the same height as the 35. That's right, if you're not too savvy on truck terms, you might hear that a lot. You might hear people say 33s, 35s, 37s. There are other sizes, but those are kind of the regular ones you hear the most: 33, 35, 37, and 40, and then 44s. So if you ever wondered, a Raptor does come bone stock with a 35-inch tall tire. One little detail with that, in case you didn't pick up on it when I went over the size of the tire, is both Raptors share a 17-inch rim. And this is one place where the Raptor does differ from new trucks a lot, because new trucks tend to have very big wheels. Now, it's not uncommon to see 20s or 21s, even 22s on the luxurious new pickup trucks, on the HD models anyway. But the Raptor has a little 17, and that is of course to keep the big fat tire on there, which points to the capability of the truck. If you have a very tall rim, it makes it worse for off-roading. If you're going to go off-roading a lot, you're going to jump your truck, which I've already proven the Raptor can do. You definitely want a fat tire. You don't want something low profile. What I run on my truck is really more for the street. I mean, I do off-road from time to time, but these work better on the street. If you really want to off-road, you want to have a big sidewall for your tire. Both Raptors offer LED lighting on the mirrors so that you can see what you're doing at nighttime. It will illuminate a nice little area for you. Both Raptors also have the same size bed with roughly the same towing and load capacity, although the new one is a little bit more. One cool detail on the outside of both trucks is they both share functional vents. Now, you do see a lot of vents on vehicles. Unfortunately, most of the time they are just for looks. I can point you to the Honda Civic Type R. Need I say more? On the Raptor, on a Ford F-150 based pickup truck, you do get functional vents, and they are not only really cool, but they help you out if your truck's running hot when you're jumping over sand dunes and everything else. As for which one looks better, for me, it's really hard to pick. And of course, this is a matter of personal taste and opinion, but I do like the new one. I love the really mean front end look, and I like some of the more angular body lines. But the old one has a very classic, simple muscle look as well. So really, I mean, it's pretty hard to pick. If I had to, I guess I would say the newer one. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, getting inside of the Raptor, well, right away, you're greeted by a really, really cool interior, and you get the sense that Ford really wanted to make the Raptor cool and different from everything else. You can see the seats. I mean, a lot of work went into these. It's not just a little, like, plastic badge here and there throughout the inside. I mean, that is really cool writing engraved, or sorry, rather stitched into the seat, color matched to the vehicle. I think that's awesome. It's also on the back seats, which you wouldn't really even notice, but Ford did it. Here are those auxiliary switches I was talking about. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, the little port for them is in the firewall up here in the engine bay. And if you have a light bar or some LED pods or something like that, all you do is plug it into the port in the firewall, and then you can operate it from here. Really great. I mean, any other truck, if you want to put a light bar on it, you have to wire it to the battery yourself, and then you have to drill something into the dashboard or mount a little, like, control panel. I love the fact that Ford does it for you, and they know that their customers are going to be putting lights on their truck because that's what Raptor owners do. They both have a huge center storage compartment that the new one, now I'm not sure if they offered this on the old one, but on the new one, they will actually, Ford will build you a safe into the center console from the factory. Buddy John uses it as a gun safe, and it's really, really cool. And the fact that Ford offers that is very awesome and unique. You can see the old one also has labeling here for your pens, your cell phone, although I don't know how. I guess you'd have to have a certain type of clip for your phone to put it on there. And then it has MP3 player, showing its age a little bit. That's where I guess you would put an MP3 player if you still had one, although maybe that would work for an iPhone. They really do have similar features. The old truck has a great infotainment center. This is the Sync 2 system. The new truck is of course updated and has a couple more things, but this has everything you need. It's got navigation, everything to sync to your phone. The new one does have Apple CarPlay, which is cool. This truck has heated and cooled seats. It's got a front camera, a back camera. The new one does in fact have more cameras, which we'll get into. But I think the biggest difference isn't so much in the features that the trucks offer, because they are pretty similar. I would say it's really in the refinement. Like, this truck it's a little bit clunky and plasticky, and it moves around a little bit. It doesn't feel very luxurious. This whole thing here is just a plastic pull handle, and you know, it's not great. The steering wheel doesn't have paddles on it or anything like that. The whole thing is just hard plastic everywhere, and I mean, I don't care about that kind of thing. I'm a diehard truck guy, and I like trucks to be trucks. So for me, like, this doesn't bother me. Like, I wouldn't care. But it's definitely not nearly as refined and luxury based as the new one. One interesting little quirky Doug feature is the 12-volt outlet. Now, you look at it and it looks to be a switch. Maybe you turn it and that turns on the power or something. It is designed to look exactly like the four-wheel drive switch on the other side of the screen, but in fact it's not. It's just a little cover for the 12-volt outlet. It looks like something, but it's not, and I guess Ford said, you know, we want it to look symmetrical to the other side, but that is a neat little detail. I cannot for the life of me figure out what I'm supposed to put in this little compartment. Again, I'm left with no other conclusion except that Ford did it for just straight up symmetrical purposes, because the other side has the cutout for the trailer brake. And they just said, well, if we got one side with a black rectangle, we might as well put one on the other side and make it a hole. But I don't know what, you can't fit anything in there. I mean, even back in 2010 when the Raptor first came out, pretty much everybody by then had an iPhone or an Android that was in a much larger square shape. So I really have no idea what that's for. I mean, maybe for like a couple quarters or something, I don't know. But nonetheless, there you go. You got a little storage square there. When you actually turn on the vehicle and you are driving it, you have access to the cool stuff in the infotainment center, the Sync 2 system. And this was the second generation of the Sync system that Ford used, and it's pretty good. You know, I've linked it to my phone. I've had no issues talking with phone calls or making it do something. I don't really use the voice control thing, because to me that never works no matter what vehicle I'm in. It could be a $100,000 Porsche or whatever, and the voice control stuff never works for me. Maybe my voice is just real messed up. But you can use your climate control right here. You can actually make this screen. It's kind of neat. You have 4 different windows, and you can put things in different windows, and you have navigation on one side, phone, radio, and then the climate on the bottom right. You can change the background screen as well. If I want to turn on my heated seat, I can do that, or my AC seat. For my passenger as well, all that good stuff. You can click on one of the corners to bring it up to the full screen. So if I want to change something entertainment wise, if I want to change what my phone is connected to and playing music with, I can choose there. If I want to go to climate, I can do that. The one thing is the touchscreen is a little bit, now it might be because it's a used truck. It's got 70,000 miles on it. It's been used a lot. It isn't very sensitive. You know, you have to press pretty hard, and sometimes it doesn't read what you did. But overall, it works really well. It's a great system. Gauge cluster right in front of you is cool too. You can go in there and look at all kinds of neat stuff. My favorite one, my personal favorite, is the truck apps. Very cool feature of the Raptor. You can go in there and see all your off-roading stuff, what angle the truck is at, what drive you're in, what differential is locked. Traction control button is located in the middle of the center console as well. Very easy and simple to access. You press that and it says Advanced Track Sport Mode is on. Now, if you want to turn off everything, like let's say you want to do, if you want to do a burnout in a straight line, you just have to press the button once. If you want to do donuts, you have to press it and hold it in. And then it will say everything is disabled. So then you can rip some donuts in your Raptor. That is a detail that is very important. Everybody needs to know that. The old Raptor does have different driving modes. It also has manual mode for the transmission, but you don't have paddle shifters in the old one. You only have the little plus and minus button on the side of the shifter. I don't really like it. I don't think it's a great system, but I don't think you would use that much anyway. In fact, even if you had paddles, I wouldn't see myself using those a lot either. Anyway, let me now get to the best part of the Raptor, because after you get in the truck and you're done messing around with all your storage compartments and your technology in the screen, you're going to want to go ahead and use that old key to fire her up. Getting into the new Raptor, we are in a totally different universe. And, you know, I started out this vlog saying, or this, it's not really a vlog, I guess, this video. I started out saying how, like, really, the two trucks aren't that different. The new Raptor just offers more technology-wise, but the more time I've spent in the new one, I have to kind of disagree with myself. You know, it's true that the old one has a lot of the features of the new one, but the new one really just does it on a totally different level. Everything in here is really, really nice, totally stepped up. Like the shifter, for instance, it doesn't really, I mean, it moves around a little bit, but it doesn't make any clanging noise. The plastic is a little bit better in here. You know, for sure, everything is just really, really nice and refined, from the leather to the carbon fiber. I mean, how rare is that to see carbon fiber in a pickup truck, and it's everywhere. This truck actually has an updated package where you get orange accent stitching and the orange accent center line on the steering wheel. Really, really cool. Of course, my favorite feature of all time in the new Raptor is, in fact, the panoramic roof. I think that's great. I wish all vehicles had it. You cannot get this on the old one. You can get a sunroof, but the full panoramic is awesome. Controls for that panoramic roof are up in the ceiling where you would find normal kind of sunroof controls. And there's also now 6 auxiliary switches. That's right, 6 up from 4 in the old gen Raptor, and they're not down on the center console. They are up high as well. You can put 6 light bars on your new Raptor, 6 of them. You got a plug for 6 of them. In case 4 wasn't enough, now you can have 6. The infotainment center is more of the same. This is, again, a sync system, still using the same name, but this is the Gen 3 system. Really, really good, even better. It gets better every year, as you would expect. And the coolest feature of the new Raptor, practicality-wise, is definitely the trailering system. You got those trick cameras that you can see a bird's eye view of the truck. It even has an automatic mode where if you're towing a trailer, you can press a button and all you do is operate the gas and the brake. The truck will steer for you. That's right, the Raptor can back up a trailer by itself. Totally amazing tech. If you would have said to somebody 20 years ago this was going to be available, I mean, I'm sure they would look at you like you were crazy, but yep, you don't even, all you do is press a button, the truck will back up the trailer for you. Of course, it can do it without a trailer as well. The center screen in between the 2 analog gauges on the dash is full of stuff you can play with, you know, different settings and different apps, and again, the same kind of off-roading stuff you find in the old one, but even more in depth. Not going to go into too much because that would take forever to talk about everything the truck offers, but just know you got a lot of neat stuff you can play around with in there as well. Last but not least, the biggest and most significant difference between the two, and that is the powertrain. The old Raptor had 2 engine options, a 5.4 liter V8 and a 6.2, the one that everybody wants. The 6.2 was mated to a 6-speed automatic trans, a little bit more traditional, and it created 410 horsepower. The new Raptor, of course, has a twin turbo V6, and power is up from that 410 in the V8, the old 6.2 V8, to 450, making the new Raptor a significantly faster truck. It's also mated to a much faster 10-speed automatic transmission as opposed to the old 6. I drove both. I will say the new Raptor definitely feels a lot quicker. It's a lot punchier, and the gear, you know, the gearing, it can be in the power band a lot more. I don't mind the old one, but I will say, you know, driving them right back to back, when you drive them back to back, yeah, the new one is definitely a lot faster, I think, anyway. The only downside I would say to the V6 besides the noise is also you really don't get any better gas mileage like you're supposed to. You know, EcoBoost, you would think it's very economical. But the problem is the way most people are going to drive a Raptor, the kind of person that buys a Raptor, they're not going to be light with it. And you end up getting about the same. I did some research before making this video, and I talked to a lot of owners of new and old. And really, it seems as though they all get around the same 16 average miles per gallon. The old V8 is a little bit worse, but really not all that much. So you get a truck that's faster, but the gas mileage is really about the same. So if you're looking at getting a new Raptor versus the old one, and you think, well, the new one's going to save me a lot in gas, I don't think so. It is going to be faster though, like I said, so that's one good thing for sure. There you go, guys. There are a few of the differences between the old Raptor and the new Raptor. Really, the old one is just as capable, but the new one is definitely the one you want if you want a very technologically advanced truck and a very luxurious truck, and a truck that's a little bit more refined than just kind of a, you know, normal working vehicle. That's really kind of more or less what the old one is. Very rudimentary. It still does the job, but maybe not quite as comfortably. Let me know which Raptor you would pick in the comments, new or old, and I hope you enjoyed this upload. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you for watching. Take care and have a great night.